Hey everyone, it's Peak, and welcome back to the Peak Bros channel, and welcome back to another Ninjala video. Before we get started with today's video, I really just wanted to say thank you guys so much for the support on the last video. It was insane to see the likes and the views and the new subscribers to the channel just completely pop off over the past few days. There is definitely a lot of excitement about the game and a lot of people wondering more about the different mechanics. We had quite a few comments in the last video about break attacks and kind of the mechanics behind them. I personally find it a very satisfying feature in Ninjala, and I want you guys to be able to experience the satisfaction of breaking your opponent's weapon when they pop an S-Burst, because it's super fun way to get an Ippon and easy way to rack up points in the game. So with that being said, let's hop right into the training lobby so I can showcase a few things about break attacks you guys might not know yet. Alright, so a break attack is performed by hitting R on your controller, not ZR, which is the usual normal attack button, but R. So every weapon kind of varies on this, but generally a break attack has a slower wind up as far as the animation of it goes than a normal attack. And if you are spamming them pretty much more than once, they have very significant knockback that kind of puts the enemy out of your reach and grays out their target reticle. Now you're seeing here, that's incredibly important. There's a brief moment where the enemy's basically target icon is grayed out. It goes from red to gray. And essentially they cannot be hit during this brief period of invulnerability. Now, obviously, most of the time you're going to knock them back so far, it probably won't matter too much. However, if you are trying to follow up with an attack after using a break attack that turns that little circle that is on top of your opponent gray, you will not actually be able to hit them or follow up with any attacks until it turns, yellow or red again. The red just depends on if you're in range of them. But that is a pretty significant preface to everything we're going to talk about today, because as great as break attacks are, they are not the type of thing you can just spam, because A, they do very little damage. As you're seeing here, we've just been kind of spamming break attacks on our opponent here, and their health is barely to 66%. And B, this prevents you from following up with additional attacks and combos that will actually help you get the KO. If you are just spamming break attacks, you'll end up knocking your opponent back so far that they're able to escape and that you won't be able to finish them off, essentially. So we've set the training room settings to have this computer use S-Burst every single time we attack them. So you're seeing here kind of what it looks like. Obviously, you've probably seen it before if you've played a bunch of matches, but it pretty much comes up as a little purple flasherino thing that happens around their body, and they hold their weapon up in kind of a guard stance. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are aware of what can happen once you attack someone who's used an S-Burst. Typically, you will enter into a parry clash, and you'll be able to select one of the three options there, and basically hope that you win the rock, paper, scissors matchup. But there is actually another option you can possibly take in instances like this if you're kind of feeling 200 IQ. Now, I think this type of thing pretty much just requires experience and seeing when people will typically pop their S-bursts at any given point in a duel. But essentially what you're seeing here in the training lobby that we're doing is we are using a normal attack to kind of bait out the S-burst, because as you guys I'm sure know from playing, that little ZL icon with the clashing swords that appears when you get hit that allows you to S-burst does not appear, of course, until you get hit. So by attacking once or twice or three times, whatever you think is going to sort of bait out the S-burst from the opponent, you can kind of predict that and use a break attack, which will entirely break their weapon, rendering it useless. They have to basically somehow manage to escape, which is quite unlikely due to the fact that they are gum-bound when you hit them with a break attack that actually breaks their weapon. The gum bind is the purple gum trap that they're locked in right there, as you see. That is what happens when you break the opponent's weapon successfully, which actually can only be done using one of the hammer's special attacks or this method of using a break attack into an S-burst. For those of you who have experience in fighting games, you can think of this sort of as baiting out the enemy's shield or baiting out a certain attack that you know will leave them vulnerable. In Ninjala, this works exactly the same way. You're essentially having a battle of the mind and of predictions with your opponent to ensure that you're changing it up frequently enough so you're not predictable, as well as trying to predict what your opponent is going to do based on, what you've seen them do throughout the match, etc., etc. So that is one usage case of the break attack. The other way you can utilize break attacks is by using one to gum bind an opponent who has their gum out in any way. This could be if they're trying to jump away. This could be if they are trying to shoot their gum at you, or if they're just trying to gum guard. We're going to set the CP settings to gum shoot just to make it a little more practical. So you'll see that the enemy does try and shoot their gum at me, and if I'm attacking it here, it's just kind of shrinking their bubble. I'm attacking it over and over. It doesn't really seem to be doing much. However, if an enemy has their gum out and use a break attack, you will gum bind them for a pretty significant amount of time. Here you see it's about 4 hits, so keep in mind that it's not permanent. And when the gum bind does end, they are able to Esper, so definitely be aware of that. If you are feeling super big brain, you can hit the opponent with a break attack to pop their gum, binding them in gum for a few attacks, letting you get some damage off. And then once they're out of the gum bind, you can then hit them with a break attack, expecting them to Esperst or something like that. Essentially, the possibilities are endless here, but that is pretty much the idea of gum binding, by hitting a player who has their gum out with a break attack. And one extremely important thing to note here, by using either of these methods, you are able to get an Ippon as opposed to a normal KO, because these type of kills count as an outplay against your opponent. So if you guys are wondering, how do I score a ton of points in a Battle Royale game? How can I get first place? Obviously, it's by getting Ippons, and some of the best ways to get Ippons are by utilizing break attacks to outplay your opponent and enable you to get a lot more points by scoring Ippons against your opponents as opposed to just normal KOs. It definitely takes some practice to get used to the mind games of S-bursting versus not S-bursting, what to do when you get into a clash, what to do when your opponent gum guards, and different things like that. But I think this clip right here really shows how you can practically use the break attack to get a gum break very early on in the game to get you a huge advantage, a huge lead at the start of the game. Because with this knowledge, you are able to go in, you're able to be aggressive like I was here, and you're able to kind of bait out an S-burst. You see I attacked 2 times, and I can't really explain why I picked 2 instead of 1 or 3 or 4, however many, right? I just kind of felt it out, essentially. But as you guys get more experience, now that you kind of understand the mechanic, you'll be able to do the same thing. You'll be able to be like, oh, I'm pretty sure my opponent's about to use an S-burst, better prime with a break attack to kind of predict it. And if they don't use an S-burst, it's not the end of the world. It does knock them back significantly, like we talked about in the beginning of the video, so you have to be aware that you're not just spamming it over and over, but here and there, weaving one in, trying to predict what your opponent's going to do is going to really help you guys score a lot of Ippons and get a lot of first places in your matches. Anyway guys, let me know if this helped you out. I wanted to do this video really quickly for the people in the comment section in the last video who were kind of wondering about break attacks and how they worked. So hopefully this helped you out. If it did, it would mean the world to me if you guys hit the subscribe button. We'd love to see new people in the community, love to read your guys' comments down below, and leave a like on the video because it really helps other people learn more about the game, learn more about Ninjala, and the different mechanics in it. Additionally, seeing those likes on the video just helps me know that you guys are enjoying the content, that we're going in the right direction, and that these guides are helping you. If you want to learn more about Ninjala and the basic mechanics of how to play it, definitely check out our previous video. It'll kind of walk you through the basic steps of winning a match, how it's done, so you can enjoy Ninjala and just take a bunch of dubs. With that being said, everyone, I want to thank you again so much for watching. It really means a lot that you guys are showing support for this Ninjala content. There's a lot more to come, so stay subscribed to the channel and look forward to that. And we will see you in the next one.